The crimson sun of Vecthar Prime hung low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the jagged canyon that separated the hunting grounds from the den sites. Rhea stood at the base of a sheer cliff face, her hands on her hips, staring up at the 50-meter vertical wall of stone that had become an unexpected obstacle on what was supposed to be a simple escort mission. Behind her, 6 juvenile Vecthari cubs prowled in agitated circles, their midnight blue fur bristling with frustration. Each one stood nearly as tall as Rhea's waist, with developing fangs that could already pierce through standard body armor and claws designed for rending flesh. On their homeworld, they were apex predators in training. Right now they were throwing what could only be described as a collective tantrum. "This is your fault, human," Kor snarled, his amber eyes flashing with indignation. The boldest of the cubs pushed his way to the front of the pack, his tail lashing behind him. "You said this route was faster." Rhea raised an eyebrow. "It is faster. Just not for—" She gestured at the cubs, beings without opposable thumbs. The human had been on Vecthar Prime for 3 standard months, serving as a cultural liaison and survival instructor. The Vecthari were a proud warrior species, recently inducted into the Galactic Council, and they'd been eager to learn from other species. What they hadn't expected was that humans, soft, seemingly weak primates from a backwater world, would excel at nearly every physical challenge their harsh planet presented. Kor's ears flattened against his skull. "I can climb it." "Sure you can, buddy," Rhea said, her tone dripping with the kind of patronizing patience she'd perfected during her years working at her sister's daycare back on Earth. "Just like you could totally swim across the acid pools yesterday." "Another cub," Senna whimpered softly. "Matron Vraska will be angry if we're late for evening meal." "We won't be late," Rhea assured her, already running calculations in her head. The cliff face was sheer but not smooth. Plenty of handholds for someone with her experience. She'd free-climbed worse on Earth, including that nightmare ascent in the Alps that had nearly killed her. "I'll get you all up there." "How?" Kor demanded, pacing forward. "Even you cannot climb while carrying all of us." "We are not hatchlings. We weigh about 40 kilos each." "Yeah, I know," Rhea interrupted. She crouched down, running her hands over the rock face, testing its texture. Solid, good friction. She could work with this. "I'm not carrying you. I'm throwing you." 6 pairs of amber eyes stared at her in stunned silence. "Throwing us?" Kor's voice cracked between indignation and disbelief. "Yep." Rhea straightened, rolling her shoulders to loosen them up. Earth's gravity was significantly higher than Vecthar Prime's, meaning she was considerably stronger here than she appeared. Combined with her climbing experience and the human body's ridiculous endurance capabilities, this was entirely doable. Inadvisable, perhaps. Definitely not in any official protocol manual, but doable. "Kor, you're first," she announced, the cub's chest puffed up with pride. "Oh, of course I am. I should go first. I am the—" Rhea didn't let him finish. In one smooth motion, she scooped the young Vecthari up under his midsection, pivoted and hurled him upward like a furry, snarling discus. Kor's outraged yowl echoed off the canyon walls as he sailed through the air, legs flailing, tail spinning like a propeller. He cleared 30 meters before gravity began to reclaim him. And before he could begin his descent, Rhea was already scaling the cliff face with impossible speed, her fingers finding holds that seemed too small to support her weight. She intercepted Kor at the apex of his trajectory, caught him with one arm while her other hand and feet remained locked onto the rock face, then continued climbing with the squirming cub tucked against her side. "Stop moving," she grunted, "or I'll drop you and tell Matron Vraska you tried to eat my ration bars again." Kor immediately went still. 20 seconds later, Rhea hauled herself over the cliff's edge and deposited the cub onto solid ground. He sat there stunned, his fur standing on end. "Stay," Rhea commanded, pointing at him as if he were an actual puppy. Then she turned and dropped over the edge, descending the cliff face in a controlled fall that would have made most species' stomachs turn. She hit the ground, rolled, and popped back to her feet. "Who's next?" The remaining 5 cubs had stopped their agitated pacing. They now huddled together, staring at her with something between awe and terror. "I volunteer, Senna," one of them said quickly. "Traitor," Senna hissed. But Rhea was already moving. She grabbed the protesting cub, wound up like a pitcher at a baseball game, a motion that was absolutely ridiculous and entirely human, and launched Senna skyward. What followed was the most absurd 15 minutes of Rhea's career. One by one, she hurled the juvenile apex predators up the cliff face, scrambled up after them with physics-defying speed, deposited them at the top, then descended for the next one. By the third cub, she'd developed a rhythm. By the fifth, she was actually enjoying herself. The final cub, a smaller one named Tex who'd been unusually quiet throughout the ordeal, approached hesitantly. "Will it hurt?" Tex asked in a small voice. Rhea softened. "Not even a little. It's actually kind of fun. Like flying." "Vekthari don't fly," Tex pointed out. "Today you do." Rhea scooped the cub up gently, cradling him more carefully than the others. "Ready?" Tex squeezed his eyes shut and nodded. The throw was gentler, the catch more secure. And when Rhea finally deposited all 6 cubs at the top of the cliff, they clustered around her like she was their actual pack leader. "That was incredible," Kor breathed, all his earlier indignation forgotten. "You are stronger than Matron Vraska. Faster than Instructor Dren, you—" "I'm human," Rhea said simply, dusting off her hands. "We're built different." As they began the final trek to the den site, Kor stayed close to her side. "Will you teach me to climb like that?" "Maybe when you're older," Rhea said, which was the universal adult response to enthusiastic younglings throughout the galaxy. "How much older?" "Ask me in 10 years. Kor's tail drooped, but then he looked up at her with those 2 clever amber eyes. "Tomorrow can we go faster? Maybe you could throw us farther?" Rhea laughed, a sound that still startled the Vekthari, who didn't have an equivalent expression. "We'll see, buddy. We'll see." Behind them, the crimson sun finally dipped below the horizon, and 6 juvenile apex predators followed their human handler home, already planning their next adventure with the strange, strong alien who treated sheer cliffs like minor inconveniences and deadly predator cubs like growling toddlers at a playground.